Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nick and It Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen, and we are here to break down our first preseason game versus Boston. Talk a little bit about Jericho Sims, what we saw, what we liked, what we weren't feeling that much. We'll preview the game against Minnesota, and then we'll talk about anything else that comes up. There's only two rules to this show. In this show, keep it real and keep it respective. Pushback, respectful. I meant to say pushback is okay. Pushback is welcome. I prefer not to have a show where everybody is like clapping their hands and you don't really agree with what's being said. So pushback is welcome as long as we keep it respectful, and we always do. So how we doing, fellas? Ajay, Jerrell, Geoff.
Salute to the chat. Salute to you, Steph. We were just saying off air, you got a brand new star show on your hands from what last night. I think y'all deserve all the credit in the world. That was something else. The six of y'all, the Queens, the real Queens Court right there, because that was outstanding. The Kandake is what I would call it, because it's that was the Ethiopian queen in the Book of Acts was Kandake. So that's what that
Wow.
made me think of when it was seeing y'all
Okay.
six up there. Some Nubian sisters getting it done.
Look at Jeff teaching us
Yeah,
black
it was mad fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff. I ain't know that.
Multicultural.
Right, that's what's up, Jeff. Yeah, but salute to the chat, man. Happy to be here. Y'all know how we do every Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. For those that don't know, yesterday, Wednesday, we did the first all female panel on the Dope Soul Sports talk channel. So if you go to the channel, you'll be able to see it. Talked for about an hour and a half. About basically it was a season preview show. The first, we'll do another one here as well amongst the regulars, and it was a lot of fun. And so we're talking about doing that show at least quarterly, but hopefully once a month. Yeah, super excited about that possibility.
Yeah, that was dope.
All right. Okay. So let's hop right into it. We played our first preseason game against Boston. Nobody played on for Boston anyway. Tatum didn't play. Brown didn't play. Horford didn't play. Porzingis didn't play. White didn't play. Drew Holiday didn't play. But it was about us, right? It was about the Knicks. Brunson played about 6 minutes. I think Randall played 13 minutes and RJ Barrett 16 minutes. So we got an opportunity to see a lot of the other guys on the team. Jericho Sims actually led the team in minutes. So let's just talk about, just your thoughts on that first preseason game. What stood out for you? Who stood out for you?
AJ, you first tonight, bro.
well, sorry. Salute to the chat, of course, and don't forget to hit the like button. Let's not start on the wrong foot tonight. Let's keep up with the number of listeners and against the number of likes. Um, well, the preseason game was that just what it was, a preseason game. You didn't expect. I mean, it was. I wish we were playing the real Boston Celtics team, but we were playing the second and third
Yeah.
tier guys against our first guy. Obviously, our first tier, like our starting lineup, they start them just to get them warmed up a little bit, but that was just about it. And we also played a lot of our second and third tier guys, end of the bench guy that probably you're never gonna see minutes during a real NBA season. So aside from the few minutes that our starters play, some of the guys played because Mitch actually played a lot of minutes, surprisingly. But aside from that, most of the minutes were eaten up by guys like Fournier, guys who ain't, they're not going to see any playing time. Um,
Mhm.
I, I mean, there wasn't much to catch except, listen, Tom Thibodeau, I see that he tried a couple of lineups stuff we're not gonna see during the regular season. People are making a big hoopla about Jericho Sim. Jericho Sim's not gonna be playing with Mitchell. I don't think he's gonna do that. I mean, that was that was ugly. I don't think I ever want to see that in a real NBA game. If we do that, we're gonna get killed. I don't think there's enough offense. I don't know. It just didn't look good. Even with playing against Boston's bench, they really couldn't do much with that lineup. I mean, it was clunky out there. It was they everybody looked out of place with those two guys there. So that I don't think that's something going to be seen during the regular season. So all that, thinking Jericho Sims going to be playing backup power forward. If he does that, it's not going to be when Mitchell Robinson's on the floor.
I was about to say that we're going to talk about that more. We'll have a segment on that, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
It probably won't be with Mitch, but I can see it with Hartenstein.
Yeah, with Hart. And let's not forget Josh Hart didn't play either. So maybe that's why Jericho Sims played a lot of minutes at the power forward position. Other than that, I mean, Emmanuel Quickley, he had a good game, a very good game in my opinion. He started out a little bit rusty, but he picked up as the game went on, and he ended up with maybe 21 points or something like that. I mean, listen, our guys, I don't see anything different. Mitch looked a little more. He looks stronger, a little more fluid out there. Like he's a lot more movement. Looks like he's a bit more focused. So hopefully he gains strength, which would prevent a lot of the minor injuries he'd be having. Hopefully. That's what happened over the summer. So he looks a little bit more tougher, a little bit more muscular than he normally does. But otherwise, everybody else the same. I mean, Julius Randle came in, did his thing, and sat down. Jalen Brunson came in, bang, 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 did what he was doing and showed that he's still the man. Other than that, I mean, the bench guys, I don't, the OB's brother, Jacob Toppin, had some minutes, but he's not gonna get a lot of playing times during the regular season. It doesn't look like he's a terrible player, but he's not. I don't think he's ready for rotation minutes yet in Tibbs' team. Okay, maybe they like him, but he's just not ready yet. Daquan Jeffries, he's pretty good. Tough guy, obviously, but I don't know if he's going to get meaningful minutes in a meaningful games. They're probably going to get minutes when somebody's getting blown out. All right. But otherwise, our regular guys played regular. I didn't see, I mean, it was just one game, few minutes. I didn't see anything different than what I was seeing last season.
Right. All right. I mean, we'll keep it, just general, and then we can go into
and players.
Each player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Geoff, then Jerrell.
I kind of agree with Ajay. I wasn't really a big fan of the Sims Robinson front court pairing at all. I didn't think that worked very well. Evan Fournier is still a mess on defense. Even if he hits shots, I think he's a negative for the franchise, and I think he just kind of cemented his place on the bench for the regular season. I don't think he was going anywhere but that anyway, just because we have such a log jam of guys, I think it's going to be interesting to see Josh Hart out there. I think there's a concerted effort on the part of the team to try and play faster. I think that it's kind of funny. They want to play faster, but they want to make sure that they rebound. It's so like those two things aren't always always copacetic, but I think there's definitely the personnel to kind of be able to push the pace, especially in the second unit, and I hope we get to see more of that moving forward.
Yeah. Jerrell, just your thoughts? Anything personal things stood out?
Not really. Just a couple quick thoughts. For me, like it's the preseason, so I don't get any type of overreactions when it comes to the preseason. We pretty much know what the rotations are going to be. The only thing we don't know really is how the minutes are going to be distributed, but we're not going to know that with preseason anyway. Maybe the last game, definitely not the first. But yeah, other than that, I didn't see anything that was alarming. I agree with Ajay. Everybody pretty much looked the same. I didn't see anything different. I like seeing Obi's brother Jacob out there. Like he played a little bit better than I expected. Nathan Knight got a couple minutes, but other than that, yeah, it was just regular preseason game. I'm ready for the regular season to start.
Already, right?
Right? Yeah.
Any
Be long.
yeah. Any surprise that Tibbs didn't come out with the regular rotation? That those guys only played a few minutes and that we saw more people than at least I thought we were going to see in that first game, or were you expecting that?
Nah, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest, but I'm not surprised that Tibbs did it because I think that's probably telling you how many minutes that Brunson and Randall are going to play in the regular season. Like we kind of wish their minutes would actually go down. They might actually go up this season. You never know, especially with Julius playing power forward and we don't have a viable backup. Unless Sims can actually fill that void like they did in the first game. But I'm not banking on that though. But no, I wasn't shocked by it.
Okay. I was a little surprised. I thought he was gonna come out with the regular season rotation. In
First game?
hindsight, though, that's what they did last season. But in hindsight, though, they already have chemistry. So I could see why he didn't feel there was a need to do that this preseason, like last preseason.
I think if Boston had played their regulars, that we would have been more likely to see that. You know what I mean? I think if they had played their starters, I think he would have wanted to see some of those matchups and those sorts of things. But since they kind of were taking it as a complete scrimmage anyway, he just wanted to kind of get those guys a little bit of lather, get them some work, get their legs moving against somebody else, and then use the rest of the game to kind of experiment and see what different things look like, and test some things out and say, well, and if something catches his eye and says, I like that, then he can, maybe put it in his back pocket for the regular season if injuries or something like that comes up to the regular rotation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with Brunson. Brunson only played 6 minutes. Brunson only played 6 minutes and was unstoppable in those 6 minutes. So, like, if I'm a head coach, I'd probably get my point guard out of there too. Like, if we're not
and he
playing,
played in FIBA too. That may have had something to do with it.
Right, I agree.
Yeah, that may have had something to do with it. All right, let's go deeper into the Sims experiment, if you will. I like the fact that Tom Thibodeau decided to take the preseason game, the first one, and hopefully he'll do it again to try some things out. He talked about Sims and how Sims was killing it in training camp, and he played pretty much an entire quarter with Mitch, and then the next quarter, pretty much an entire quarter with Hartenstein. So, like, it's one thing to say on paper this is not going to work. It's another thing to be like, you know what? It's a preseason game. Let's just see. And shout out to the Strickland there was a thread on Twitter where he actually, you know, isolated some plays with Mitchell Robinson and Sims to pretty much show how it's not going to work. And basically that, you know, the teams, Boston just wasn't paying attention to Sims. And so it really allowed them to key on, the other guys. Like he really didn't stretch the floor at all, which is what, I mean, we knew that. Um, but I'm not against him playing with Hartenstein. Um, having traditional size at the 4 position, I don't know if that hurts us if he's out there with Hartenstein. I mean, it's pretty much like when Mitch is out there with Randall. You have somebody who's going to play good defense, switch out, play good defense, rebound the ball, but you're just not going to get a lot of offense. from him. But he'll take care of the rebounding. So, yeah. So just your thoughts on having him play power forward, even if it's with Hartenstein, and what that means for the guards. Because really, what that means is if we stay at 9, somebody is out of the rotation.
Hmm.
And if we go to 10, one of those guards are going to get one or more of the guards are going to get even less minutes than they're slated to get now.
Right. Well, the last thing
Jerrell,
is
we'll start.
okay. The last thing that you said is actually my concern when it comes to Sims actually playing a lot more because, to my knowledge, I thought the Sims was going to be like situational. One of our centers get hurt, he could slide in at the 5, but I don't know him getting like you said, him getting minutes at power forward means how many minutes, and those minutes, like we can barely stretch the minutes that we was talking about was throughout the guards before. So now it's even going to be worse. So like with IQ playing almost 30 minutes last year, we expect Hart and DiVincenzo to play around the same. Do all of their minutes go down by like 5 because Sims is the backup 4? And when he's out there, like you said, he doesn't give us any offense at all. Like last night, I think he played, what, 25, 20 something minutes. And I think he might
He
have been the
led us
only,
in minutes.
did he? But he was
0.7 rebounds.
He
7
led us.
rebounds with that's I was gonna say that he played all those minutes and he's the only person on the team I think that didn't score. So I'm not saying that he's supposed to be some type of offensive juggernaut, but if I want somebody at the 4, I don't want them to just be a mannequin out there and they don't got to pay attention to him at all. So yeah, I don't really know if I like Sims being our backup 4. I'd rather have somebody else or nobody at all, and we stick with the 9 man.
So you're okay with a Josh Hart or RJ Barrett giving up the size at the power? Okay. All right.
Yeah, unless we
Good enough.
get
Um,
unless somebody else, then yes. But I would rather have them than Sims.
okay. All right.
So,
Ajay, um,
well, yeah. Before Jerrell, I want to put something forth.
Mhm.
What if they play uh, Isaiah Hartenstein and Jericho Sims, but kind of reverse it, kind of in their head think I Hart is the 4 and
Mhm.
Jericho Sims is the 5
mm,
when those two are on the floor.
No, but it'll still be him taking away minutes from, like, regardless of what position he plays, as long as he's on the floor, his 0 minutes. Say even if he plays 10, that 10 minutes is a long time stretch between, depending on who you want to play those 10 minutes.
Mm.
Like, are you willing to have IQ play 6 less minutes and Dante DiVincenzo 4 less minutes just for those extra 10? So I guess it just depends on like if you really want Sims on the floor or not.
Well, not really want Sims on the floor. It depends on the team you play. If you play in a team with a bunch of big bodies, it may be worth it to do that.
Oh
You,
yeah, I get that. Yeah, but that's with like, but that would come with how Tibbs actually coaches it. Do you expect him to make that transition during the game like that? Like
yeah,
if Sims is situational, he's going to be situational. Or if he's going to be the backup 4, he's going to be the backup 4. I don't think Tibbs is going to be switching up just because we play,
yeah,
Miami versus, the Lakers or something.
yeah.
Unless he changes the way his philosophy is at coaching.
That's what we're hoping.
yep.
That's
And
what
when you
I'm
look
hoping
at mm, when you look at the depth chart in the Eastern Conference, because this is what we're doing on the Queen's Court, the Atlantic Division, there are some big backup power forwards in the Eastern Conference and in the Atlantic Division. So if it's not Sims, Hart's gonna have to hold it down. The good thing about Sims, what I do like about him is he can rebound. Like he's strong in there. He can rebound. Like you think about Milwaukee, it's Bobby Portis, as the backup, power forward. And I don't have salute Diva Locks, appreciate you. Um, I don't have the depth chart loaded up here, but when we were going through it, I was looking at those backup power forwards. They're not small. You know,
Right.
they're not small, so it'll be a challenge. Ajay, you wanted anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I already said in the beginning, I didn't like it. It didn't. It looked clunky. It looks weird out there. Like these guys, they were out of position. They didn't know what they were doing with those two on the floor. Like I said, if I want to,
Which two
I
you talking?
Mitch and Sims.
Yes, got
Okay.
you.
If anything, I really don't ever want to see Mitch and Sims on the court at the same time. Like either you go all small with Jericho Sims over there, to grab rebounds, or worst case scenario, you put him in Isaiah Hartenstein. Um, we grab a lot of rebound, but we lose a lot of offense. Like you said, they don't pay attention to him. And Mitch, if Mitch is not under the basket, they don't pay attention to him either. So you have two guys that are literally free on defense and can do whatever they want. They could double team, triple team anybody they want without being worried about what's going to happen with the other guys. So no, I don't like it. And I hope I don't ever see that Sims and Mitch play again.
Yeah, I
And
don't think
what I'll
that's
say
I don't
too,
think that's gonna happen.
to your question, I think that Josh Hart's defensive rebounding rate is really really good. Um, and yes, there may be big fours on other teams, but that big four then has to cover Josh Hart. So there's a mismatch both ways. And if Hart can hold his own with the rebounding, it may open us up on offense again to play faster. Can that big lumbering four keep up with Josh Hart in the open court? Is that gonna, if we can secure the rebound, is that gonna allow us to push the pace better against these second units and get out and run? And because you can punish a mismatch on both sides of the floor. It's not just a one-way street.
Yeah. So I take it your preference is for Josh Hart over Sims, even with Hartenstein.
Yeah, I like Jericho Sims, and I think he's actually awesome to have as our third center, especially with a five like Mitch who gets hurt and misses at least a dozen games a year. So Sims is going to get his opportunities. I just don't see them at the four. That's just I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I would rather have the versatility of one of those other guards in there. Or RJ, if you don't consider him a guard, I kind of, one of those smaller wings. Let's just put it that way. I would rather have one of them because they just do more. And I don't think that Sims is that much better a rebounder, especially than Hart, where it screams, I've got to have that size in the game. I just don't think that that's the case right now.
What about him at the 5 and Hart at the 4?
I don't have a problem with that, but again, you got, I would much rather Hartenstein and Mitch as soak up all the minutes at the 5. I don't really see a need to play Sims over those two guys. I think they're both better than he is at this point. So, I think now is the time to play Jericho and reward him for his hard work in the summer with minutes. But when the lights come on bright, he's situational at best. I mean, and that doesn't mean he's a bad ball player. I mean, Deuce McBride is going to be situational at best. Evan Fournier is going to be situational at best. So when you have a team that's as deep as ours, some really good players are going to just be glued to the bench. And that's just the way that it is. And I don't think it maximizes our on-court ability if we expand the rotation, because I think those 6 through 9 guys are so much better than the 10 through 12 guys that I just think it's wiser to stick with the 9-man.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. And we'll see. Josh Hart at the end of the day, he's 6'5", and he does have a really good rebounding rate, but that rebounding rate is as a small forward and a shooting guard. Will it remain the same as a power forward, maybe it will. He's going to have a hard time with Bobby Portis. Now, we don't play Bobby Portis every game, you know. So, so I do have some concerns with the lack of size. Even though I like Josh Hart rebounding rate, um, and I'm okay with a Sims. I'm okay with Hartenstein and Sims, with Sims playing a five. The biggest issue for me is what Jerrell brought up, and that is the difference in minutes. Like, in order to play Sims, even if I do like him and Hartenstein together, because when Mitch was injured, they played together. Even if I do like it, do I like it enough to decrease the minutes of the rest of our guards? And I don't. I just think that it would be nice if Tibbs was a bit more flexible in this sense, that in those games in which Hart may struggle with a big, that he would bring Sims in. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what I would like. I would feel much more comfortable in a situation like that, that if we came across some bigs like that, that Tibbs would be like, okay, for this particular game, we're going to have to play Sims and Hartenstein, because that second unit is getting killed on the boards. If he did that, I would be super happy. Just like I've made peace with the center position, because I don't see the center position as just Mitch. I see the center position as Mitch and Hartenstein together. So I'm at peace. Right? I've seen Thibodeau in the playoffs mix and match depending on what's going on in the game. And hopefully he'll continue to do that in the regular season. So I'm at peace with the center position. But I would be more at peace with the power forward position if I thought Tibbs would do that. Just on those games when, it's just not working. This is a situation to bring, Sims
I
in.
think on those nights you're going to
I'm
see
sure
40 minutes of Julius Randle. I think that's going to be Tibbs' answer to that before relying on Sims. I think the answer would be to increase Randle's minutes and just rely. In other words, you're going to get rebounding from him. You're going to get those, and he has no problem increasing his minutes if we're in a matchup where we're just struggling. As you said, he's just going to say, Julius, you're out there the whole second half, bud. Go to it. Right. And Randall's not going to complain about that. I guarantee you. He wants to be out on the floor
I don't
every minute he can.
Yeah. He's not going to complain. But it's not like Sims is a scrub. It's not like you can't send Sims in for 5 minutes to shore up whatever rebounding or defensive issues we may have. But I agree with you, Geoff. I think, Tibbs has what I like to call his security blankets. And he'll just go back to those blankets, like Linus, and Charlie Brown, just go back to his blankets, because that's where he gets his comfort from. And instead of, trying something a little different. So I agree with you. That's a good point. He very well may just increase Randall's minutes during those times. But I think you run the risk of wearing him down a little bit.
He looked healthy and he looked good. I was worried about that ankle a little bit. I thought that those fears at least went to the side, and really until he hurt that ankle, until Bam hurt that ankle. I want to make sure I get it right, so Adjay doesn't get on me.
That's right.
Bam hurt that ankle.
That's right.
He played 77 games, at a really elite level, 77 in a row. He was prepared for all 82. So I don't, and now with the rules in place, these guys are going to be expected to play more and more, as it is anyway. If they want the postseason accolades, which they do, they have to play a minute. But that's never a problem with Randall. Randall's a minutes eater.
Right.
He just wants, and that's what I respect about him. He wants to play all 82 games. He wants to be in there. He doesn't. I think if you asked him to sit down just to take a rest day, it would make him upset. He wouldn't want to do that. I just think that's his personality. And that's one of the things I like about him, actually, because that's the Patrick Ewing era of basketball. You go out there and you play 82. Oh, you've got bad knees, you ice them after every game. And you go out there and you give it everything you got every game, every night. We go to win,
Right. Yeah.
I like to
Anything
know.
else on?
Yeah, just real quick. I like to know when Tibbs said Sims was killing it in training camp. He didn't really elaborate on what he was killing at, right? Like, did he develop anything different?
No, he did not.
I mean, the only reason I say that because he looked like the same old Sims. Not saying that he played bad, but it didn't seem like anything was different. And I don't think, regardless if he plays backup power forward or not, I don't think it'll be enough minutes for him to, develop anything new during the season. So I don't know.
But even if he did, sometimes your role is such that even if you did develop something new, that's just not. It's not your role to do it. I just think about
Right.
Mikal Bridges. He was in a specific role in Phoenix. So we'll see. I did see him put the ball through his legs a few times. Not that that's a skill we need from him, but he just looked a bit more comfortable out there handling the ball.
Maybe that's what Tibbs was talking about. That's what he's talking about, the handles.
Point Sims.
Yeah, he probably crossed somebody. Right? He probably crossed somebody over in training camp. Never know.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about Emmanuel quickly. Nothing else about Sims, right? Good with the Sims, Hartenstein, Mitch stuff. All right, let's talk a little bit about IQ and how he looked. I know if you looked at his stats at the end of the game, it looked beautiful. But in the first half, he really struggled, like a lot of the Knicks struggled in the first half. He was just able to get it together in the second half to make his stat line look pretty nice. Your thoughts on Emmanuel quickly? What you saw from him? Did you see anything different?
I didn't see
Geoff,
anything.
We'll start with you.
Oh, Geoff. Okay, go ahead.
We'll start with Jerrell.
Go ahead, Jerrell.
Okay, my bad. I think we are a little. I don't know. It's a little choppy. I think we're missing like a second or something when it comes to us talking.
I believe so.
Yeah. Just real quick on Emmanuel quickly. I didn't see anything different. Obviously, he didn't have a good first half. I think I need to train myself when I look at Emmanuel quickly because I always seem to think that he shoots too much. But deep down inside, I kind of feel like I should not want him to not shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a scorer, and he's a shooter. So, like if he think that he's gonna either make the shot or take the shot, he's gonna take the shot. Like I think I need to train myself to know that I don't look at him as like a chucker. Really, I think he's a scorer, and he thinks he might be a little. Think of himself better as he is already, especially when it comes to efficiency. But the second half was obviously better than the first. And I don't think he shot too much. Maybe he shoots too much in like a short period of time or something like that. Maybe that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, he didn't shoot that. He didn't have that many, field goals. I think he only shot the ball like 14 or 15 times. That's average for him.
He was 8 of 14. You're right, Jerrell.
Yeah. Okay, so that's average for him. Usually, maybe he just don't shoot 7 of them in 4 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
and it might seem like that because he didn't play his normal minutes load either.
Right.
I mean, so it may have seemed like he shot the ball more than But if he's shooting 8 of 14, I don't really have a problem with him shooting.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're 1 for 13, then maybe dial it back. But I mean. First preseason game, even Dante DiVincenzo looked a little rough in the first half, and then he finally made a couple shots in the second half. So I don't really worry about that stuff at this stage of the game. It's about knocking off the rust and getting just getting back in the groove and back in the flow. And, I think Quickley is going to be fine. I'm much more interested. I think the storyline with Quickley has to do with the next 10 days and whether that contract extension gets done or not. I'm much more interested in that than anything he's actually doing on the court in a preseason game.
I will say this. I would like to see him play off the ball this year. And I think, I don't know, Jerrell, if this is what you were alluding to. I just felt like when he was in the game, it wasn't about setting the team up. It wasn't about that balance that I saw last season. And again, this is the first preseason game. It wasn't the balance I saw last year between, okay, I'm the point guard on the second unit, and my responsibility is the flow of the offense. And I got to figure out when to set it up, when to go for my own, that balance. And I thought in that preseason game, I didn't see that balance. I just saw him out there playing. And I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. I just think playing him off the ball frees him up from that. I'm the one that's supposed to set up the offense. I'm the one that's supposed to get people involved. I think having DiVincenzo there, and any one of those guys can initiate the offense. I just put the ball in DiVincenzo's hand in terms of being the one that's supposed to set the team. And when Quickley has the ball, your job is to score. And obviously, if they double team, if they cut you off, then you just play basketball. You pass to the open guy. But I just think it might be best to just take him off the ball.
Right.
Because in that first preseason game, I didn't see him running the offense at all. I didn't really see that.
Do you think that was a
Ajay?
function of him? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ajay.
Go ahead. No, that's good, Jeff.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
Do you think that was a function of him playing with DiVincenzo and them not really having, a rapport yet, whereas he doesn't know whether he should be the guy? You know what I mean? Do I let him go or do I do my thing? They haven't really learned each other. Do you think it's a matter of that, or do you think it was Quick just deciding, it's time to let fly?
No, I think I think the first option you said, just them not having the flow, the whole second unit not having the flow. It's the first preseason game, but I do think overall it may be better for him to just not have that responsibility. But yeah, I agree. I think it was just the first game.
Do you think that's the plan? Maybe that's why they brought in Dante DiVincenzo, since he can bring up the ball to free IQ up or off that duty of point guard duty a little bit. I mean, they could share the ball. Doesn't mean Dante is going to be the primary point guard, but it could be either or, 50-50. Because Emmanuel Quickley, like Jerrell said, he is a scorer. He prefers to look to score. Naturally, that's what he wants to do. It kind of takes him out of his flow when he has to run the team. He wants to learn it, but that's not what he naturally does. Naturally, he wants to shoot the ball or drive to the basket and do what he wants. So maybe with DiVincenzo there, that'll free him up a little bit more to do that. And I think if that's the case, he'll have a better season because he'll be more effective, and he'll be able to do what he does best. So I'm hoping that's the plan.
Yeah. I'm hoping that's the plan too. Yeah. Let's talk about Grimes and then bring in the Quickley question again. I know we've talked about this multiple times in terms of should we start Quickley. But let's just first start with Grimes. Just your thoughts on Grimes. Did you see anything different? Did you see any evolution in his game? And again, I get it. It was the first preseason game, but just your overall thoughts on Grimes during the time that he played. Ajay, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I didn't see that. There wasn't much from Grimes. I mean, again, regular, just everybody was regular. In the minutes he played, he was regular Quentin Grimes. He took a couple of shots. I don't know what his how effective he was. He hit a couple of shots. He took his defense. He tried to play defense. He might have had 1 or 2 turnovers, but nothing out of the ordinary. This is just scrimmage. That's basically what it was. And then, of course, to make matters worse, Boston didn't play their real team. So this guy, some of these guys were just warming up out there, just doing a little cardio. But I didn't see anything. I didn't see last season from Quentin Grimes. Pretty much.
Yeah. Geoff?
I know it was only one game, but we're talking about that one game.
The thing about it, it was like the most Grimes thing ever. So his stats don't really pop off the page, but that starting unit got off to the 18-11 lead, and Brunson was doing his thing. So you're not really like, do you really want Grimes to have the ball when Brunson is like cooking the other team? He's just out there doing his thing. The defense is good. He's out there. He's a threat. He was, what I mean? So from the, and that's what we saw all of last year, is that starting unit, especially in that first part of the game, was always really positive, like +5, +7, somewhere in that neighborhood. So from that perspective, I think that it was vintage Grimes. So if that's what he's going to give us, and he's going to give us that, that cushion, that lead, so we start to do our substitutions, then, I don't even think it matters if he's closing games. If that starting unit is working and they're building us a lead for when the bench comes in, which is supposed to be a strength, then, leave it the way it is. I Grimes wasn't like amazing, but he didn't have to be amazing. He just had to be Grimes, and he did his Grimes thing, and like I said, they got off out of the gate hot, and I think that's a good sign, is they played well early on with him at the starting 2 spot.
Any concerns about his ball handling?
Ball handling.
I'd like it to be better.
I did see him play the ball.
I didn't really see him do much, but with it, and that, so small sample size too. How many minutes did he play? Like 20? I don't even know, but small sample size. But yeah, I would like to see him handle the ball a little bit more, and But again, he's the stats show that the starting unit is a major positive right now. Until that changes, I don't think you should change it.
Yeah, I did see him dribble the ball some. That was good to see. I saw him bring the ball up the court a few times. So hopefully that continues, because I think that's important, to have a shooting guard that can actually handle the ball next to a point guard. And I saw a little bit of that, so I'm encouraged by that, and we'll see if that continues with the rest of the season, particularly the preseason. He talked about the coaches wanting him to do more with the ball, having confidence in him, asking him to make a play for himself and make a play for the rest of the team. We've talked about this. He ain't gonna get a lot of opportunities with Randall, Brunson, and RJ with the ball in his hands to create, but bring the damn ball up to the court. I mean, come on. So I'm really hoping, come on now. You just can't be one-dimensional here. Two-dimensional. So I hope that continues with Grimes. If he does that, I'm super happy with Grimes. If he can bring the ball up the court and initiate the offense at times, that would be a big development in my eyes, anyway. Ajay?
Grimes, I did Grimes already.
Jerrell then. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, yeah, just like all of you said, it was the same old Grimes. I'm saying it wasn't really anything different. Like you said, Steph, he handled the ball maybe a little bit more, but it wasn't the aggressive type of game that a lot of us talked about in the offseason. I just looked it up, Jeff. He played 22 minutes. So he had 22 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. I'm sorry,
Nice.
6 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. So, same old Grimes type of stat line with those type of minutes. He'll obviously play more minutes in the regular season. So, short sample size, but I didn't see anything different at all, really.
That might
4
be about
assists, though.
right.
That's a good number, though.
25. What did you say, Jeff? 25
20,
a piece about?
Yeah.
yeah, true. He played 22. He probably going to average around 25. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, to me, it's just handle the ball. If you can handle the ball, he's fine. Let's talk a little bit about RJ Barrett. And you look at RJ Barrett's stat line, it looked like a regular season game, 1 for 6. Overall, he did score 12 points. He was 9 from 9 from the free throw line. I'm really encouraged about that. Last season, he went to the line 5.4 times a game. That was third on the team. And we talk about offensive rebounds and second chance points is a big part of our formula for scoring. Well, free throw rate, getting through to the free throw line is another part of our formula for scoring. We only shoot as a team 70 something percent. So I think we are like ranked 20 something in field goal free throw percentage, but we get up enough of them. I think we're 8. I think we go to the line 8. We're ranked 8th and get into the line. So that's a big part of what we do. And RJ Barrett is a big part of that, getting to the line 5 times a game. And last night, Monday, he got there 9 times and he made 9 of them. So think about it. He's elite at getting to the rim. Not necessarily elite at finishing, but he's elite at getting to the rim. If he's getting his free throw percentage from 74 up to 80, 82, that helps us. That really helps us. And I'm not concerned about, then he'll score 25 points a game. I don't even care about that. Just whatever opportunities you get at the free throw line, at the rim, whatever, try to be as efficient as you can. So if he's getting to the line and he's shooting 80%, I'm super happy. And he shot 100%. I'm not going to kill him for the 1 for 6. It was the first preseason, game. When I looked at that box score, I said, "This is looking similar," But I'm going to wait and see, because it's not just RJ Barrett. My hope is that the entire Knicks team shoots better this season. So we shall see. Jerrell, and then Geoff, just thoughts on RJ Barrett?
Just like a little bit like Grimes, same old RJ. Like you said, the free throws is really, really good. 100%. Really can't, say anything about that. And if he does keep it up, like if he can get to 80%, then we wouldn't actually worry about him, shooting 32 from the 3-point line. I guess like it kind of balance out a little bit, even though it doesn't help us when it comes to spacing. But as long as he gets to the line and shoots, 80%, that'd be lovely. But in terms of, his field goal percentage, like you said, I didn't really take any I didn't really care about that. Like I said before, it's the first preseason game. I don't want to overreact, especially when it comes to shooting. Like shooting will come hopefully for RJ and the rest of our team. So just like with IQ, I don't, if he misses shots, he misses shots. It's the preseason, just hopefully they can be in rhythm when the regular season starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. Geoff?
I'm really happy with the 9 free throw attempts. That does so much for our team. I mean, if you get into the penalty early, and especially with if those are 3 points and he's knocking them down, I don't ever think RJ is going to be a good shooter. I'm just at that point. Like if he if he gets up to like 34%, 35% from three, that would be amazing.
What?
I'm not expecting that, but if he could do that, that would be terrific. But to me, use your strength, man. That's what you do that's your one elite skill. So use it, get to the line, get those free points, get the other team in foul trouble, get us in the bonus early where we can shoot a bunch of free throws. And even if he's only making them at 72, 73%, maybe that means more free throws for Brunson, who's a really good free throw shooter, or Grimes or somebody else who's good at it. So no, I was really encouraged by the ability to get to the line. The shooting just is what it is. That I think if you're hoping that RJ is going to turn into this, decent shooter, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. I think we got to realize that he's an inefficient player. That's who he's going to be. But if he's going to I can live with the 1 for 6 from the field because it's not that many field goal attempts anyway. And especially because you get to the line 9 times. Well, that getting to the line 9 times is to me, that cancels out the 1 for 6 because that does so much for us on offense in a lot of different ways. And when you are driving to the basket and getting fouled, guess what? Defenses do have to pay attention to that. That's not something you can just ignore. So that can help your spacing. That can help, some other things. So for me, a decent RJ game. I'm not a fan of inefficient players, so he runs me crazy. But if he plays like that, I can live with it.
I could live with 6 shots because I feel like if you're an inefficient player, don't take 20 shots. So, but those free throws were shot attempts too, right? That he got fouled on. But yeah. We'll see how it how it plays out. Let's move on to Mitchell Robinson, who looked to me like he put on some more muscle. To me, I know when we was talking last night, Chris, shout out to BX. Chris thought he was fat. He didn't look fat to me. I just thought he looked like he put on some weight. And he looked stronger and he attacked the basket stronger as well. Just your thoughts on Mitchell Robinson and how he looked Monday.
You want to go first, Geoff? That's your man. I know.
That's my guy. Yeah, the 3 block shots in the 23 minutes is what I love. That shows that yes, he put on some weight, but that weight is muscle, and it's different this time. In that the last time he put on all he was working out and he was putting on all that weight because he couldn't do cardio because of his foot, and so he ended up overcompensating, and he was too thick and he was too big and he was too slow. Now it looks like, yes, he put on more muscle, but he did it while being able to train his body and from a cardio standpoint as well. And so he looks really spry. And I think that's when he's at his most dangerous, is because that's the weapon that he is that he is so active and he can get to a lot of shots that other people can't, just because because of his length, because of the things that he does well. I like the alley-oop. I thought that was really good to see. I'd like to see more of that. I think not that we need to be feeding him all the time, but I think if you can get him 1 or 2 lobs a game, just let the big man eat a little bit. I think that's a good thing for everybody involved. But the defense, I really thought he looked good defensively the other night. And again, I'm biased, so I admit that. But I was happy with the Mitchell Robinson we saw. He looks like he came into camp in shape, which was a worry to me because you see the videos at the dopey high school and you're like, really, are you even taking this seriously at all? Sometimes I think he puts those out as a complete troll job just to mess with us Knick fans. And if that's the case, that's really hilariously funny. But That stuff runs me crazy when you're just one guy feeding you the ball and you're showing us free throws and you're making 4 out of 9, even on the video, and you're like, really, bro? But and that was the one weakness. You have to go both sides. I think he was 0 for 3 at the line. Hopefully he's getting his misses out of the way early. That's all I can say. But I sure would like to have seen him making 2 out of 3. Because his free throw percentage has gone down every year he's been in the league. That's the crazy part to me. As a rookie, he was like 60%, and like now he's at like 48. It's completely in his head at this point. I mean, his form is bad too. Nobody ever told him never up, never in, I guess, because he's like line drive, laser beam, free throw. But put a little arc on that shot, sir. But when he does, I think he's fine. And like I said, I think it's as much a mental thing as it is. But I think that's a lot of the case with a lot of these guys who have these free throw shooting difficulties. It just it gets in their head, and then they start thinking about it. And you can't be thinking about free throws. You have to just get in your routine and trust it and shoot. If you're thinking about it, you're already going to miss.
Right. He also had a nice block 3-pointer, and then scored on the other end. I thought that was a nice play from
Those are my favorites.
from Mitch. Yeah. We saw a lot of that as a rookie. But when he went 0 for 3, I was like, all right, any hope? Because people were like, I need you to, get that field goal percentage up to 50. I think I said that too on one of my videos. I think it might have been a Patreon video. Like, get that free throw percentage up to 50%. And some people in the chat was like, yeah, work on everyone. He went 0 for 3. I'm like, you know what? Let's just drop the free throw improvement. Let's just drop it. It is what it is. Okay. Jerrell?
I actually wanted to echo everything Geoff said, man. Like, I actually agree with everything that he said. Like, this is the first preseason or training camp, I should say, that Mitch actually looks, he looks in shape. Like, like Geoff said, he gained more muscle, but he actually looks like he's running out there. He's not laboring at all. Did everything he had to do on defense. We already know the limitations of the offensive game, so I wasn't looking for that.
Right.
Free throws, but to be honest, I wasn't looking for him to hit free throws either. So, like, that's pretty much the only reason Mitch doesn't close games. Like, it's kind of hard to close games with your center that can't hit free throws. So, Hartenstein will probably be our closer, but yeah, Mitch actually played well. Like, I have nothing bad to say about Mitch. Like, if he can keep that up and he can stay healthy, then this will be his best season as a Knick, I think, if he could, keep it up.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Staying with the centers, just your thoughts on Hartenstein. Actually, I liked in the fourth quarter. I think he had 3 assists in the fourth quarter. With the passing, I don't think it's something. I don't think it's something we exploit enough, and he can forget it in that second unit with R.J. Barrett and IQ. Just get what you can get. Whatever scraps are left, just get what you can get. But just thoughts on Hartenstein. I don't have his stats in front of me, but just your thoughts on Hartenstein last night. Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now. 20 minutes, 9 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Just like everybody else, to me, looked like the same on Hartenstein. I said before that I wanted him to make more. It's not like they did some type of conscious effort to do that, though. I think he just naturally got those 3 assists. Like you said, he's gonna have to get it how he gets it. But he looked good. I think Hartenstein is gonna have a really good year too. As long as everybody stay healthy, I think the combination between him and Mitch, makes us one good center, if that makes sense. Or one really, top-notch center. Because their minutes are pretty much gonna mirror each other, to be honest. Like, Mitch usually starts off the game, Hartenstein closes it, and they pretty much, probably will split the minutes down the middle. And unless Mitch can actually, stay out of foul trouble a little bit more. Like if he could stay out of foul trouble, then he would have more minutes than Hartenstein would.
Right. Yeah, I think that center position is pretty strong in my opinion. Geoff, Ajay, let yourself in.
I really liked
When you're ready.
what Hartenstein did. I think that Hartenstein's passing ability is a trust issue with Thibodeau. I think that the more that he does it well without turning the ball over, the more he's going to be allowed to do it. So to have 3 assists, like you said, just kind of in the flow of the game, like he had, I think that bodes well for him, because I think the more that he does that, the better it is for our offense. One of the reasons we were so ISO heavy last year is that when you don't pass the ball, you usually have fewer turnovers. And so when you do, if Tibbs is gonna trust you to pass the ball, you better take care of it. And I thought that there were times last year where he kind of was a little bit fancy and maybe even careless with the ball on occasion. And I think that was kind of like, the old minstrel show where they gets the hook, that Thibodeau's like, all right, enough of that. I don't want you passing the ball. But if he can just continue to make plays like he made the other night, and the more that he does that, I think the more that Tibbs is going to trust him to do that. And the more that he does that, I think the better off we're going to be. And the other thing is, I want him to shoot. I like his little floater, I don't know, whatever you call that, the little push shot that he does in the lane. I like that shot. I have confidence in that shot. I think when he shoots that, I expect it to go in. So I don't mind him shooting when he gets the opportunity either. I'm not one of these that's hoping and expecting him to expand out to the 3-point line and be our stretch 5. I don't think that's his game. I really don't. He did it a little bit with the Clippers, but the sample size was really small. And every time he did it with New York, it seemed like last year it was Brick City, USA. So again, it's a trust issue with Thibodeau. If he's going to be out there doing that, Thibodeau's never going to tell him not to shoot. But if you shoot those and then you miss, then he's, especially from that position, I think he's going to be like, nah, I want you to be closer to the basket so we can focus on offensive rebounding and let all these other guys brick 3-pointers instead of you, because you're better at rebounding.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. I think his turnover rate, I'm not going to say it's high, but I think is higher than Tibbs is comfortable with. Put it that way. Yeah. I mean, I like Hartenstein. You already know that. So let's just see what he does. Continue rebounding on the offensive end. Continue rebounding on the defensive end. To Geoff's point, don't turn the ball over. Make good passes, and if a 3 presents itself every now and again, just let it fly. But you're right. I don't know if he's gonna be like a stretch big that's gonna be, just seeking 3-point shots. But if it finds you and it's a decent time in the clock,
I'll say this: that's the one way he can really carve a notch out of Mitchell Robinson's minutes, is if he turns into a legitimate 3-point threat. I think you see him on the floor a lot more, because his defense is pretty good, and that adds a dimension. If he can make 1 or 2 a game, that's a difference maker.
True.
Yeah, for sure. Ajay, any thoughts on Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein? Those are the 2 I think we discussed while you were away.
My router just rebooted. I think I kicked off the power adapter, but sorry about that. But I kicked it off, and it took me a couple of minutes to see what the hell happened. So no, I don't have a problem with Mitch and Hartenstein in spot minutes. Okay, obviously we're not good. That's not going to be our starting. They're not going to be part of our starting five. But you know, for a couple of minutes, and also depending on the team we play. If we're playing a team with a lot of bigs, like if we play Milwaukee, yeah, I'd like to see those two guys, man, because Milwaukee's got a lot of big guys. You know, they got Giannis there at the four, then they got the Lopez brothers, they got Bobby Portis, they got a bunch of big guys up there. So I don't mind seeing those two guys if we playing big teams. They're not a terrible
How do you
combination.
think?
I'm sorry.
How do you think they did? How do you think they did individually in the first preseason game?
I think they did pretty good. Mitchell Robinson, like I said before I got kicked off, what he seemed a little bit stronger. He moves better, and you know he doesn't show as much rust as the other guys. Like you know he from the jump, I thought he was already in game mode. You know it didn't take him to the second half for him to get loose to get into the floating game. So I thought he did pretty good. Hardenstein, I mean, not much for Hardenstein, but he was, you know, he was himself. Very active, you know, very active. He's, you know, he's chasing the ball, he's chasing a rebound, he's out there doing what he does. Um, you know, we see what those guys have done last season. That's I see them do the same thing this season. You know, I don't see any major difference, at least not in the first preseason game. I don't see anything that say, wow, okay, there's an improvement here. Um, so I thought they both, you know, they came in, get their workout on, and let's see what the next game's gonna be. You know how they play.
Let's talk about DiVincenzo before we get to 28. It's a lightning rod here. Um, you know, for me, I haven't really watched him a lot, DiVincenzo. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the preseason and obviously during the season so to get a sense of the type of player he is. You know, he struggled shooting wise, you know, in the first half. I think he knocked down a shot or two in the second half. Um, but that's fine. Like I said, it's the first preseason game. The Knicks didn't. They shot better than Boston, but they didn't shoot well overall. Um, and from the 3-point line. But I like that he can handle the ball. I like his vision. A little nice pass from like the opposite side of the court to Fournier, to Fournier for three. But again, it was an uneven performance, you know, for him. I'm looking forward to seeing him. When do we play again? Saturday.
Saturday.
Any thoughts on DiVincenzo?
Mm, I'll go on first out because I'll be kind of quick. You know, just just another regular game from, you know, Dante DiVincenzo. No overreactions with the shooting for me. Like Steph said, I think him being on the coming off the bench for us with the ball handling is going to be huge. I think him and IQ being in the same backcourt, I can't wait to see that more, see what it looked like. One thing we didn't mention, especially when it came to Sims getting minutes, and we're going to talk about Fournier, but Josh Hart didn't play. So that could be a
Right.
real reason why, you know, Sims got a lot of backup 4 minutes, and Fournier
Right.
got over 20 minutes, I think, too. So, you know, that could be a reason. I still would like to see what it looks like when it comes to Dante, IQ, and Josh Hart on the floor at the same time. We haven't seen that yet. So I really can't assess anything by the way they play with each other yet until then. But yeah, as long as we have another ball handler. So other than that, I'm not really putting any stock into how he played on game one, to be honest.
Anybody else
Yeah, I mean,
want to
same
comment?
here. Same here. I mean, you know, he didn't play. He didn't shoot lights out, so there's no reason to panic. This is his first game, and even in the middle of the season, any one of those games could come up at any time for any player. Like they could have games where they ice cold. All right, that doesn't say anything good or bad about Dante DiVincenzo. Let's just see how especially this is a new team for him. He's getting acquainted. He's getting used to these guys. Yeah, we had training camp, but that's not enough to get to that's not enough playing time together to get the chemistry going. So let's just give this one time. Okay, he's a new player on the team. It's gonna take him a while to get comfortable, to get in his shoes, and for us to start seeing what he really can do. He's a pretty good player. We've seen him play. I've seen him, with the Golden State Warriors. I watched many of those games. He's a good piece to be on, to be added to the team. You know, I don't panic, and I don't, nothing. It's just the first game of the season. That no, no movement either way for me. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have a terrible game, but that doesn't say anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Jeff?
Well, with Dante, he has the biggest adjustment because he's the guy coming in. Everybody else in the rotation played last year, so that's a big adjustment for him. And then when you think about the two guys on the team that he really knows, the guys who he was teammates with in college, one was a DNP coach's decision, and the other one played 6 minutes in the first quarter and then was out before Dante even hit the floor. So, from that standpoint, he was completely, with guys he's not used to playing with, and a little bit different playing with that bench unit than it is playing with Clay and Curry and in Golden State,
Right.
I'm sure. But you get different kind of looks. You do, it's just different. And so, he'll be fine. He's going to have the biggest adjustment period. And so I actually think for him, I would say I look for him to pop maybe at the first 20 games or so. Not that they'll be bad in the first 20 games, but I
Right,
don't think
right.
it's going to be a situation necessarily like Josh Hart came in flash in a pan and was just boom, exactly what this team needed, and just rock star, everything that we. I don't think Dante's going to have that same kind of effect, um,
Mhm.
again, what I'm looking forward to is, he's a good rebounder for a guard, and get the
Yeah,
ball and let's go with that second unit. Whoever gets that defensive rebound, you're the point guard. Just move the ball up the court, attack, and I think that especially if you're in a lineup with Quickley and Hart, you really are, and RJ likes to get up and down the floor too. I think you really could see again, and I mentioned this early in the show, so I don't think we need to dwell on it too much, but we could really see a faster pace. I mean, if they can take care of the defensive board,
right,
I think you can see we could see a fun second unit that really plays fast.
right. I hope so. Any points the Knicks can get without the opposing defense being set really helps. I think I'm not sure where we were ranked in fast break points, but it wasn't in the
Wasn't
top of the league if I had to guess. Yeah, it definitely wasn't high. Um, let's talk about Fournier. I know on the show last night, um, there was mixed feelings. I'm not sure how it's gonna unfold today. Fournier can help us. We should be able to find some minutes for him, and he may not be great defensively, but he's not the only one, and we have better defenders now that you can put around him. And to me, I'm not averse to that, but it comes back to the whole Sims issue for me. That's less minutes for somebody else. Whether you're putting them in the rotation or expanding the rotation to 10, that just means less minutes for others. I have no problems with Fournier. People talk about his defense, but he started every game on the fourth ranked defense in the league. Um, and last year we were ranked 19th, so we wasn't that much better without him. But I will say that it's hard to play him and Brunson, and I just think um, that was the biggest thing. But I could see a lineup in that second unit. If you got Quickley at the point and you got DiVincenzo at 2 and you got um, Fournier at 3 and you got Sims or Hart at 4 and Hartenstein at 5, you should, if your defense is good enough, you should be able to hide one defender that's not great. Miami does it. A lot of other teams do it. The issue for me, like I said, is more about taking minutes from other players more so than it's about his shooting um, and his lack of defense. We got players in that starting lineup whose defense ain't great. But anyway, just your thoughts on Fournier and how his shot looked good actually um, the other night. But yeah, just thoughts on Fournier.
I'll go first. The shot I think the shot on Fournier will always look good because he can shoot. Like that's one thing that I will never say that he can't do. I think that's the whole reason he's in the league, that he can shoot 3-pointers. And I think he's really really good at it. Do I think we can need him? Yeah, sure, in spot minutes, but I think the bridge is already burned when it comes to Tibbs. I think the only reason he was playing is just to maybe, I don't know, the Knicks trying to tell everybody that he can actually run up and down the court. So, come get him if you want him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think he's going to play any minutes when the season starts. I think he'd be one of the SS players, super situational. It's not. He's like, I think multiple people will have to get hurt in order for Tibbs to play Evan Fournier going forward. I think it's over.
I agree. I was surprised he got the minutes he got, and
Yep.
I didn't even think we would see him in the preseason.
Yep. I'm surprised he still got a jersey. like they actually gave him a
And he
jersey.
came to camp.
Right, exactly. I'm surprised he's not at home.
They gave him a locker.
Everything.
Yeah, because I thought it was a small chance that they would just have him, like just stay home and not report.
Right.
But yeah. Anybody else?
Evan's a good player, just not for
Mhm.
us.
Right.
He just doesn't fit who we are and what we're doing. These are the wrong place, the wrong time. I mean, he's a guy who can play NBA rotation minutes. I don't think there's any question about that. I think anybody who's saying that he can is being disingenuous to his talent. And he's an elite shooter. I mean, the guy can knock down shots. And it's funny that even when his shooting is pretty decent. I mean, I think if you look at his on-off numbers the other night, they weren't very good, And so I think that Queen is exactly right. If all your other defenders are strong, you can probably hide him, but as far, I think he's a guy who plays better when he starts. I don't think he's a bench player. I don't think every player can just come off the bench and do their thing. I think he's a guy who needs to start and get in the flow in order to get his shot going and get his offensive game going. And he and Brunson in the starting front court just as a non-starter, especially with Randall. I mean, holy Hannah, it's like Matador City. I just, if you want to send Tibbs to an early grave, which I guess some folks aren't opposed to in this crowd, but if you want to get rid of Tibbs in a hurry, that kind of defense is the fastest way to do it, in my opinion. I think he's a good player. He just is just a bad fit, and it kind of stinks for him because his contract is such that the Knicks want to hang on to it in case they need it for a salary filler. If he was a guy making $1 or $2 million or a vet minimum contract, I bet they would have just parted ways with him already. But his value is in the amount of his salary and what that could be in a potential trade, as opposed to what he can actually bring on the court. And that's kind of sad for him because, like I said, the guy can play.
I don't. We're going in a different direction. But quite frankly, Fournier can play on this team. he can play on this team in that second unit if you got the right players around him. I just think we're just in a different we're just going in a different direction right now, and we're prioritizing playing the young guys. He started every single game on a team that was a better defensive team than the team we had last year. He started every game, right? Um, but I think we're at the point where we're prioritizing, we're winning. We're prioritizing winning and getting our young players minutes. And I'm not mad at it. I just think he gets an unfair shake when it comes to his defense. And we have other guys um, on this team who are not great either.
Grimes'
Um,
percentages shooting
but yeah,
wise from
but yeah,
three are
I'm
about the same,
comfortable
and
with
he's
him.
a good defender. So, if you give Tibbs the choice of two guys that shoot
I'm not
39%
arguing with
from
him,
three,
but my argument is not Fournier and Grimes. That's not my argument. I'm all I'm saying is he's a good enough player to play on this team. All I'm saying is that we're just going in a different direction right now. That's all I'm saying. But I don't want to hear that, oh, he can never play on this team. Like his defense is so terrible that he just can't get any minutes on this team. He started and played over 30 minutes on a better defensive team than this. And I'm not saying it was because of him. It's just the team that we had around him. The team that we had around him. But I'm in agreement that he's situational. I'm in agreement that he's probably going to be super situational. Because last season, whenever RJ didn't play, he started. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to be the case this season. So, I don't know if I would say I feel bad for him, but I would just like to see him um, move on, get into a good place where he can um, help the team, help a team. You try to be Ryan. They did have a losing record, but it wasn't because of Fournier. That team, yeah, did have a losing. What last year? Yeah, yeah, it was. But it wasn't because of Fournier. There was a lot of things going on that season. But I'm talking particularly about our defense. We still had a top ranked defense. AJ, any
I mean, I agree with you guys. It's like he's a good player, but we're going a different direction. So, he just got to go. If we could find a way to move him, let's move him. And like you, Queen, I'm surprised he's got a couple of minutes even in the preseason. I didn't think he was going to get that at all.
yeah,
Of course, I watch all these shows and people are saying, well, they were showcasing him for trade. Please stop. Okay. Evan Fournier has been in the league for 10 years. He played damn near every summer with FIBA, World Cup, Olympic. Like there's nothing to showcase. Everybody know everything about Fournier at this point. All right. They're not showcasing him. If anything, they should have sat him to prevent him from getting hurt. Okay. They ain't showcasing nothing. At this point, if a team, if a team don't know, what Evan Fournier can do or will do, then fire your scouting team, okay? Because he's only been in the league 10 years. What are you showcasing at this point? So yeah, I mean, I don't even know why he took play so many minutes in a preseason game when we could have been trying some other guys. So yeah, it's best to move him because he's not gonna play. We have a coach that prioritizes defense, and as luck would have it for Evan Fournier, when they benched him, the team went on a winning streak. So that was all she wrote at that time. He wasn't coming back. He wasn't getting playing time after that. So,
right, right.
just hopefully
Not just him and Derrick Rose.
and Derrick Rose, yeah. Yeah. So hopefully they find somewhere to move him, and the I don't know. Hopefully we get something for him. Not 2 second-round picks like we did for Obi, but hopefully we get something of value for him.
Well, if you're gonna trade him I'm straight up. I'm not sure you do. But if you put him in a package, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even
But
know how
straight
they're
up,
gonna.
I don't know if you get more than that.
Yeah,
Probably less than that, straight up.
yeah. I mean, if you
You
only
probably
get,
have to attach an asset to him. There's just deal him straight up.
yeah,
Right. 28 said he's going to force Tibbs to play him. That's what Chris talked about last night. You gotta go in there. You gotta take it. You gotta force the coach to play. You gotta be. Listen, I don't know what Fournier can do at this point. I just think it's I just think he's it's a wrap. But I like the attitude. I like the attitude, but I don't think it's gonna happen. One person we didn't talk about real quick before we get out of here was McBride. It was good for me to see McBride actually be on the ball and run the team when he was in. Usually when he comes in, he's playing off the ball. And it was
Mhm.
just good to see him take that next step. I don't know if that's something he was already prepared to do, but he had to gain Tip's trust, or whether it took him a few years to get to this point. But it was just really good to see him out there running the team. And listen, even if he never develops a good jump shot, if you can run a team as a point guard and play good defense, like a Pat Bev, and there's some others in the league, you've been playing this league for a while. So it was good to see him do that.
I'd like to see him develop a jump shot though. I mean, this team we need shooters, we need scorers. So it's nice that he can run the team, but he needs to be able to put the ball in the hole. Um, you know, hopefully he develops that. He didn't have a good game in terms of shooting the ball in the preseason, but like you said, he was doing other stuff. He's of course relentless on defense, and he was able to bring up the ball and run the offense. So yeah, let's hopefully he can put the ball in the hole. We could see G League Deuce show up in the NBA at some point.
But for a third string point guard, like you think it's that his offense is that big an issue for a third string point guard? Maybe it is.
Well, no, but he doesn't want to stay third string for the rest of his career. The point is, if he able to shoot, he will no longer be third string. He's gonna be a second string, or some. He's gonna move up the ladder at some point.
Right.
At
That's
this point, I think Deuce is the fourth string point guard
Wow.
because they're going, Brunson, DiVincenzo, IQ, and then Deuce. They're not going to have IQ not run it, like have Deuce run the team over IQ. I don't see it. If they had a
Yeah,
choice,
I agree with you. The other thing I was going to say is that Deuce's future with this team, if he has one, is going to be if we make some kind of a trade and clear up some of this logjam with those guards.
right?
I mean, because really we're in danger of him going the Obi Toppin route. If you think about it, I mean, where we're not going to get much more because. I mean, I think this is what the final year of his contract, or does he have 1 year after this left? I'm not sure, but if this is the final year
I
of
think
his
this is the
contract,
final.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of teams out there that are probably going to be willing to pay him a little bit more money just to see what he has. So I actually think that is what it is, but I think we're in danger of losing Deuce, maybe even for nothing. And not that he's an amazing player or anything, he's not, but I also think that he's a solid defender and if he could ever figure it out on the other side of the ball, if it ever slowed down for him, and I don't know if it ever will, but the lead guard spot, even as a backup, is definitely the hardest one to learn, I think, in the NBA. That and the 5 spot, because there's just so many responsibilities that entails. I think it takes longer for the game to slow down. I mean, for big men, it's also trying to stay out of foul trouble too. But just for
Right.
the game to slow down, for him to decision make at the level that he needs to. But he looked like he was handling it okay in preseason again. But he'll have a chance at some point injuries are going to happen, and he'll get a chance to make his mark on this season, I would imagine, before it's all said and done. And one thing we know about Deuce, he's going to stay ready.
Yes, and he's very confident. He put up 10 shots in a little bit of time he was on the court. So he's not shy about
Makes two, but he put up
putting
10.
it up. Right. And he made some nice passes. So I thought his vision was okay, playing playing that position. So it was just good for me because prior to that, I didn't understand. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, he plays good defense. You're not getting on the floor as an undersized point guard just because you play defense and you can't shoot and you can't run a team. Like, who's doing that? But at least now he has 2 out of the 3, or the beginning of 2, out of the 3. So, for me, it was just good to see. It was just good to see that. Shout out to Josh. He said he's not sold on Sims, RJ, or Hart at the power forward position. I think our team is unbalanced in more than one way. So height is one way we're unbalanced. Shooting is another way, and I hope this improves. There's another way in which we're unbalanced. We can get to the rim, we can get second chance points. Can we shoot the ball? So we'll see.
Ideally,
We have
we could
91 in the chat.
Ideally, we could consolidate where we had someone who could, big wing who could play the 3 and the 4, and play those backup minutes for Randall. And, I think
both sides.
Yes.
Yes.
But
you know what? I just think the Knicks are just dug in with their rotation. And I like it. It reminds me a bit of San Antonio. It reminds me a bit of Miami. This is our culture. These are our guys. We're set. But the flip side of it is look around. Like, look around the league. You look at these other teams and who they're signing on minimum contracts. Give them a flyer. Even if you sign, you don't have to play them. If you feel like, once you bring them in, give them a flyer. Like, I don't think Covington was a free agent. But anyway, to Jeff's point, find a 3 and a 4. Somebody who can back up the 3 and a 4. But they're not going to do that, because if they bring in somebody that can back up the 3 and a 4, what does that mean for Hart? And what does that mean for Grimes? And what does that mean for Quickley? So it's just not going to it's just not going to happen. And so you see players waived. You see players still out there not signed, not necessarily now, but let's just say 4 weeks ago, that the Knicks just have no interest in bringing in, because they got their guys and they've closed ranks, and that's what it is.
We got Ryan Arcidiacono, though.
Oh my! This is what the Knicks up. Yeah, so that's the only part of the Knicks that I have a little bit of an issue with. Take a fly. Miami does it all the time. Take flyers on guys, and let's just see. Let's just see.
Kevin Love.
Right. Can we hit the like button, please? We got 93 in the chat, and we got 61 likes.
61.
So if you haven't already, please smash the like button. That's one way to support the channel. Becoming a Patreon is another one. I'll be putting out the next Patreon video with Randall and going over Randall and Jalen Brunson and what they can do to raise the ceiling of this team. So that should be coming out too. The link to become a Patreon is in the description. $3 to support the channel, $5 for bonus content. That women's show, if it comes to fruition, may be Patreon only. That's what I'm thinking. Just really trying to create content for for Patreon. That's not me doing a video every week. So we'll see. Um, Josh, speaking of Flyers, Kai Jones, I just don't think the Knicks will do. This is somebody that if you bring in, he's not looking to start. He's not looking to, you just bring him in. He practices with your team. Just say you were able to pull off a trade and whatever. Now you're short on the back end. You have somebody already, in your system that you can slot right in. But that's just not what the Knicks, that's just not what they do. And I'm not criticizing them. It's just not what they do. It's just not what they do. Yeah. Anything else on anything we talked about today? Anything you want to bring up?
I'd be completely shocked if we signed Kai Jones. Like, I don't see that at all. Like, no, I don't see that at all. I don't see us signing any more young players. Like I keep saying, we were youngest team in the playoffs. What is Kai Jones going to do on this roster? Like, I know we need a backup power forward, and I definitely want a backup power forward, but not him. Like, he a little loopy, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got rid of him for a reason. It wasn't because of his talent. So I definitely do not see him being on this roster at all. No way.
I'm not even talking about him. I'm just saying in general. I'm not even talking about him coming in and getting a rotation spot. I'm just talking about just the Knicks taking Flyers on cheap talent and just bringing them in, developing them, and just seeing if down the line they can help. Salute, Chris. Appreciate you, sis. Dropping by.
Yeah, salute to Chris.
Yes,
Dope
definitely.
show last night. Really dope show last night.
Great show last night.
Absolutely.
It's no longer called the like button. It's called the add J button.
The add J button.
Hit the add J button.
Smash.
That's going to stick too. I'm always going to call it the add J button.
I like that.
we got the likes up to 67. I appreciate you guys. Sorry, I just hit that by mistake. Anything else? There was an article about the 5 players that the Knicks are. I hate these articles. That the Knicks may be targeting, and it's the same old Embiid, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't read those no more.
I'm like, it's the same old crap.
And then you look. Yeah, you read the articles, right? And then you look, what is Leon Rose doing? And you see that picture of him sleeping.
I mean, I think they're waiting, and some people can argue that is sleeping. I think they have a short list that they're waiting on. And we've talked about this before. I'm not if that is their strategy, I'm not a big fan of it. Improve your team if you can. If a star becomes available, then trade the assets that you just got. The Knicks have so many first round draft picks. You can't tell me that you're going to exhaust all of your first round draft picks in a trade for a guy who's not a superstar. I just don't see it. But
right, I think we just get articles like that because a lot of publications don't really have anything else to talk about in the offseason. Like, they can't get on YouTube and be great like us for a couple hours just talking about the first preseason game. They got to write stuff like that. Like, we already know all the big wigs that that the Knicks have been targeted. It's been the same players for 5 years now. The same exact players. It's not going to change as long as we don't have a superstar. A superstar will always be linked to us. until we get
Right.
one.
Right. Right. I read
Steph
somewhere, and I don't know the particulars of it, that if the Knicks are going to get someone, it's probably they have up until I think the beginning of next season. And then after that, the salary cap kind of it may be harder for them if they don't do anything by the deadline next off season. It may be harder to do. I don't know the particulars of that. I just read it.
I think that's
I think
accurate, Queen.
Stafford
That
Don.
next off season is kind of the ticking time bomb. If you're going to do something, you got to do it. Period. I think that's 100% accurate.
I think Stafford Don is talking about the ESPN ranking. Is that what he's talking about when they ranked the 100 best players?
I believe
I think
so.
he's talking
Or is
about
he
that
talking
GM
about something
survey.
else?
Oh, the GM
Oh, the
survey.
GM
No,
survey.
Jeff's right.
Okay,
It's
the
the
GM
GM
survey where Tom Thibodeau, Ajay, listen up, was second in defensive coaching or drawing up defensive plays or defensive strategies, I believe it was. He was ranked second among GMs.
I agree with that.
And I think
Who's the first?
I'm not sure who the first was. And I think Brunson was most likely to be a coach at some point.
He's a coach
I
on the
don't
floor
remember.
now.
Right. I don't remember all of it.
Like I'm looking at it now, and they have so many categories that I got to keep scrolling down to get to like the coaches and stuff.
Right. So eventually, when you read the whole thing, every coach in the league got like some category where they're best at, because they have like
Right.
100
Okay.
categories, right? But Queen, I mean, I got a question for you since you talk about Thibodeau. So does that make Tom Thibodeau that makes him a great defensive coach, right? Does that make him a great head coach? Like maybe he's a good staff, like on somebody's staff, like an assistant coach responsible for defense? Or
Well, we have the evidence right here. He's been with us for 4 years. The Knicks have not made the playoffs. Did not make the playoffs, and I can't tell you how many years before he got here. We had only won 21 games prior to him getting here, and we're pretty much the same team. We made the playoffs in his
no,
first
I
year.
disagree.
So my
We,
answer to that question is, I think he is a really good NBA head coach. And, if you want to say he would be a great defensive coach on somebody's staff, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that, but I still think he's a really good NBA head coach.
yeah, he's a good NBA head coach, but it's never the same team. He didn't take the same. It's never the same team. It's a different team that he took to the
Same,
playoffs.
right?
Even if
Okay,
it's the same guys, it's never the same team. It's never the same situation. It's never the same chemistry. It's never the same opponent. It's never the same team.
okay.
We say
But he
that
had a
all the
lot.
time, but it's not right.
But he's overachieved in 2 out of 3 years. I think it's fair to say that.
Right. And you could disagree, but you can have the same players, and the coach can have a lot to do with that team performing. Because when we look at Spoelstra and we look at all these other coaches, what do we say? Oh, wow, look what he did with that team. He took that team to, but when it comes to Thibodeau, oh, it's not the same team. It's not the same team. It's the same players, but it might not be the same. Let's just judge him the same way we judge other players.
And
It
and
may have been the same.
and I
It
and
may
I
have been
do that.
circumstances.
I do judge him the
The
same way.
culture he brought, the culture he brought, the discipline that he brought, the direction that he brought, had a lot to do with those same players not being the same. A lot of that had to do with Tom Thibodeau.
He absolutely changed the culture here. That's for sure. That you cannot argue.
Yeah.
He brought that. He came in with a different mindset. He had those guys. I mean, even Julius Randle. You could say like he made the difference in Julius Randle becoming an all-star. I don't think Julius Randle would have been an all-star if it wasn't for Tom Thibodeau being the head coach. So, I mean, there are certain things I agree with.
Well, according to the I was just perusing that survey. When it comes to most of the coaching categories, the GM pretty much put voted Eric Spoelstra as the number one head coach in damn near all of the categories. So we don't have Eric Spoelstra. You know what I'm saying? So everybody else's, the percentages are kind of the same. Like, for example, like who's the best head coach in the NBA? That's the question. Eric Spoelstra was number one with 73% of the votes. So number two is like 10%, Tyronn Lue. And then it goes down to 7, and 3%. So, I don't get me wrong, it's a good read when it comes to the survey. But yeah, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league. We pretty much already knew that. But like the top five, Steve Kerr, Popovich, obviously, a couple other ones. Tyronn Lue is a pretty good coach, but Tibbs is definitely probably in the top 10, I would say.
I think Steve Kerr.
Oh, yeah, he's
I
overrated.
would. Well, I think we don't know. I would say that because you put anybody on that team. Well, I don't want to. I don't want to say that because I think you do have to. Even if you're coaching a great team, you still have to lead that team, and you still have to make sure that you're running an offense that speaks to their talents and things of that sort. But I'm not trying to take anything away from Steve Kerr, but he's coaching top 75 players of all time. And the years in which he didn't have those players, they went to the lottery. So I think for any coach, rosters matter. That's all I would say. Rosters matter.
And to prove your point, how many games do you think he would have won if he had taken the Knicks job instead of the Warriors job when Phil Jackson tried to hire it?
Right.
Would we still be having this conversation if he had taken the Knicks job instead? Not that you made the right choice, obviously, and he's done well with that superior talent, but
I know how many games we would have won. 27, the same amount we won that year.
And he would be seen as I don't know. He definitely wouldn't be seen the way he's seen now. you know. But listen, maybe he would have overachieved with that team. Maybe, maybe he would have did like a Spoelstra job and like a 27 win team. Maybe he would have got like 42 wins in the eighth seed in the playoffs. Yeah, I think coaches get a bad rap. I think few coaches can outperform their roster consistently. There are few coaches who can do that. But for most coaches, rosters matter.
Look at what Greg Popovich is going through right now. I don't think anybody would question that Popovich is a great coach. He hasn't been to the playoffs in 5 years.
Right.
Think about that.
Right. And when he did win, he had all NBA players. And I think there maybe have been one or two seasons where the team outperformed the talent on the floor. And I'm not taking anything away from Pop, Spoelstra, but sometimes your legacy and the narrative, once you get a good one, it's hard to it's hard to change it. And once you get a bad one, it's hard to change it as well. I think that was the team with Rudy Gay or somebody on it, and they weren't expecting to do much. I think the players had Tim Duncan, maybe Manu, I'm not sure who it was, had just retired, and nobody was expecting that team to do anything. And then they went to the playoffs at one time. Oh my God. Oh, but he hasn't been there in 5 years. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Rosters matters. It's really hard to consistently outperform your roster. It's just hard to do, And Tibbs has done it, in my opinion. That young team was last year was 2 wins away from the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, a lot of it also had to do with Miami knocking off Milwaukee. Um, but some would argue that we would have did the same thing against Milwaukee. Not sure.
Yeah, if we would have got there, I didn't care about none of that. Like if we get there, we get there. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care who beat who. Like if we got to the Eastern Conference Finals, yeah, I'm talking like we got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
You are what your record says you are.
Yep.
Right. I don't think we've had. Listen, somebody said on Twitter, Tibbs is riding Randall and Brunson's coattail. And so does Steve Kerr, and so did Pop, and so does every coach in the NBA rides the coattail of their best players. You can't do it without that. Anyway, anything else? I'm gonna get off my coaching soapbox. I coach, by the way, for those who want to know, like why I always have rosters matter. That's all I'm saying. Rosters matter.
Yeah, if that's the case, then Popovich rode Tim Duncan into
Anything
the
else
sunset.
before we?
I just, if anyone cares to take it's not consecutive, so you have to check it out. But I've been doing a series. I think I have one part to go, but on my blog I'm doing a series called Great Expectations. That's a preview of the Knicks season. So just the different the one first episode, part one is just a general overview, and then I break down the different positions and kind of compare them a little bit to the other to the rest of the Eastern Conference. And I've done everything but the center spot. That one will probably come out this week at some point. But it's called Great Expectations. If you want to check it out, I hate the Boston Celtics on WordPress.com. So
yeah, I pushed the wrong button. I was trying to find the link so I can put it in the chat. I mean, it's in the description, but I'll put it in the chat as well.
Happily Ever Klafter at WordPress.com, I think is the thing. So, but feel free to check it out. There's a lot of inside jokes and family stuff there that you might not get, but hopefully the basketball content speaks for itself, I hope. So feel free to disagree, though. I learned so much from you guys, more so than you would ever from me, I know.
I think we learn from each other. I mean, this is a really smart basketball community.
Amen.
So. Okay, good. I pinned it. I to the top of that. Anything else we want to go over before we get at it?
Shout out to Keith Turner, who said in the chat, if Jimmy Butler didn't get hurt game 2, we probably would have got swept. I don't even know what that means, but I don't have anything else to say. I don't know what that means. Like what if Julius Randle didn't get hurt? What if Brunson didn't get hurt? What if Grimes didn't get hurt? There's so many what ifs. I don't even know why people make those statements. Like if Jimmy Butler, well, you know what, he got hurt and we didn't get swept. But there's so many what ifs that I don't even understand what these things mean. Yeah. Shout out to Keith Turner though.
If our shooters could hit the side of a barn during
if Miami all of a sudden didn't start hitting everything, if what's the point of that?
That changed everything for them when they started hitting shots. Mm-hmm. They were a bam team. They just weren't a good and shoot team. It changed everything when they started hitting shots, and it changed everything for us when our not so good shooting became even worse.
Right.
They were one game away from not even qualifying for the playoffs.
Right.
That's
Right.
crazy.
People forget that they were in danger of missing the playoffs entirely,
Yeah.
and then they got hot at just the right time. So sometimes that matters.
Yeah. No doubt about it. No
As
doubt
Knicks
about it.
fans, that's what we want, because if we, I always like to use the phrase "a puncher's chance." When you got talent, you get in the boxing ring and you got a guy who can just Mike Tyson knock you out in one punch. Sometimes all you need is that one punch. You get if you're a Knicks fan right now, are we championship contenders? No, but
Right.
maybe we get that puncher's chance and you hit the uppercut at the right time and you could be Buster Douglas and become world champion.
Yeah. Good point. Like being championship contenders and getting to the championship game is two separate things. Things can fall right like it did
Yeah.
for Miami, and you're there. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Atlanta went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I didn't consider them championship contenders, but they got there. So yeah, definitely. Anything is possible.
That's true.
Yeah, anything is possible. Um, yeah, that's all I have. Um, unless anybody else have something, that's all I got.
Man, hit the like button on the way out. There's 100 watching, 71. So there are 29 people who are holding back, man. Don't know why.
Hit the IJ button.
Let me ask you this really, really, really quick. One of the people on the Knicks wish I don't know if it's on the Knicks wish list, but in one of the articles I was reading was Carl Anthony Towns. And I know there's a lot of people in the chat and on Twitter who are not big fans of Towns, actually. And me and AJ was talking about this earlier. We were talking if it did happen, it would be, Towns and Randall, right? I just can't see Towns without Randall making our team any better. But what's your thoughts? And I think we may have talked about this earlier in the off season.
Yeah, you saying you want Cat to be here with Randall? You said?
hmm
Oh, nah, I don't think that'll happen. Then I think they have to have like what we giving Minnesota for Carl Anthony Towns if Randall don't go in the deal.
Yeah, I mean, it may have to be a three-team trade. I don't want to get into the specifics, of how it would, of how it would happen. It probably would have to be a three-team trade because you're right. I don't
Mhm.
see they're pretty locked in on what's his name, Vanderbilt at the power forward position. I think
Jared
they really,
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
yeah, I think they really, really like him over there.
Well, I think when it comes to Carl Anthony Towns playing here, for the most part, our fan base is either going to love him or hate him. Partially love him because he's from around it. He's from the area. He is very, very talented, but a lot of people, especially older people, is going to think that he's soft. Like he doesn't rebound for his position. His defense has been lackluster, like most of his um, career. Even though he came in as a defender, he was a very good defender when he first came into the league. But he focuses most of his energy on offense now. But yeah, like he's kind of soft. I really don't want him. But if we did get him, I think it would have to be for Randall because I say that because I don't see Cat playing the five for us. So I think it would like a good matchup on the floor for us. It would be like us pairing him with Mitch, not him and Randall. Because if it's him and Randall, then our defense is done. Like we would have to completely change how we play. Like
We would.
we would need a 3-and-D at
Yep.
the three position for sure. Like RJ wouldn't be able to start anymore.
Right.
And we would be like our whole offense and defense would change. It would be completely different. We would be a completely different team if Cat is here and Julius Randle is here at the same time.
Right. I agree with that though, but that's not uncommon.
Yeah, true.
Because I think if you brought in Donovan Mitchell at the 2, we would probably have to get a 3 and D wing unless we're going to go with a 3-guard offense.
True.
We would have to make some changes too. But so I definitely agree with you in that respect that we would have to change.
Right.
We would have some change. We couldn't leave this team the way it is and just stick Karl Anthony Towns at the center position. Yeah, totally.
What does Cat shoot from 3, percentage wise?
I gotta look it up, but I think it's high. Like he can shoot. But
I
let me
thought so.
make sure.
So from that standpoint, I was thinking Queen, you might like having a big man who stretches the floor like that. I worry about Cat's defense. I mean, Thibodeau coached Cat before, didn't he? And
Yes.
Well,
he ran him crazy.
It was his first or second year in the league. He was a really young player at the time. I think he's a bit more mature now. I would think. I would hope.
Cat shot pretty much 37% from 3 last year, but he's almost a 40%, 3-point shooter.
Wow.
Yeah. This is what I will say. I'm okay whether they bring him in or they don't. I'm bringing it. I'm not pounding the table for Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not saying that he's at the top of my list of players that I want, but I will say this: environments matter, and just because a player plays one way somewhere else doesn't mean that they can't play another way when they get to another team. And we see it all the time. So there's nothing that says he can't be a good rebounder if he's back at the 5 position, right? That he can't block a shot or two. Now, is he going to be a lockdown defender? He's just not. So I agree with you. We would definitely have to change how we construct the team around him. But I'm not buying into this is who he is in Minnesota. This is how he's always going to be, no matter what team you put him on. You put him on a team with Tibbs. You put him in a winning, and I'm not going to say winning environment because I'm not. Minnesota is not a trash team or a trash organization. I do think the Knicks are a little ahead of them though in the build. You might get something totally different. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, can I ask you a question? Why do we have to have a lockdown defender at the center position?
Like how the team is constructed now, we do.
Because Jalen Brunson's not a very good perimeter defender, and RJ Barrett's not a very good perimeter defender. You got to have a good You got to have a good defender somewhere, and having elite rim protection covers up for a lot of those sins.
Right.
Only thing I'll say is
I see what you're saying.
Right. That's why I think the team would have to change. But other teams do it. Other teams around the league do not have lockdown defender rim protectors at the center position. But they build the team in such a way that they're still able to be successful. That's all that's all I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, Kevin Bergen. I would ask for Anthony Edwards too, but
I ain't giving up no Anthony Edwards. You're gonna ask all day long and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that is actually the last thing that I have.
Shoot, I call for McDaniels too.
While we're at it, we might as well. McDaniels nice.
Because we're not going to get Anthony Edwards, obviously. I don't even think we're going to get Cat. We could get Jay McDaniels, though. At least I think we should be able to. And he will fit this team rather nicely also.
Yeah. Rebuild New York said Brunson, Dante, Hart, Randall. Yeah, like your wing I think we might even need a little. I don't know. That's a 3. That's almost a 3-guard lineup. So you are giving up some height. Stafford Don said Willie Green is deciding to play Zion at center. I didn't hear that.
Zion at center? He wasn't. He's not a good rebounder at the 4. Like, that's weird. They're just gonna lose. Then that's all.
Hopefully they lose. That's
Yeah, he can play in
both ways though. The centers are going to have a hard time guarding him. Also,
Yeah, that's true.
it's both ways.
Hey, bang.
Yeah. All right. Today is what, Thursday? The Knicks play Saturday. Sunday morning, I'll be back with the morning recap show. I think Stafford is going to join me. So like Friday, if the recap lands on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you know, I'm all for a panel show. Whoever wants to join, even if it's just one person. If it's Monday through Thursday, though, I'm just going to do it by myself because I need to be in and out 35 minutes. I need to be in and out. And even when you add one more person, it's just a longer show. So, but if it falls on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, whoever wants to join, I think Stafford, you know, maybe joining this Sunday. I have a little more time. Monday, the Queen's Court, 8:30. I don't think there's any NFL game or the Knicks aren't playing, so we'll be back to our regularly scheduled time, 8:30. Geoff will be there. Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, DJ Shuttle, 108 Soul. Check him out Fridays from 8 to 10. And I think Ebony, who was on the show yesterday and was on the first episode of Queen's Court, October 2nd, I believe she'll be back for Queen's Court Monday. Yes. Looking forward to that.
Shout out to Von Allen. He likes the chemistry. Hope you hit the like button.
Yeah.
The
AJ button. Yes, Stafford said he'll be there. Appreciate you. Any last words, fellas?
Yeah, the NFL is torturing us again by putting the New York Giants on prime time Sunday night against the Bills. So diehard Giants obviously will be on, or I'll be on at least at halftime. The look ahead to the game. I'll probably get it out sometime Saturday afternoon. And we got to play these games. So I'll see everybody Sunday night.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to the Liberty game. They play at 3. But that's enough time for me to get back and be ready for the halftime of the Giants show.
Okay, it's a late game. Obviously, they start about 7:45. I'll probably be on. Halftime is usually around 9:30, 9:45, between that time.
Yep, I'll be there. As they say, God willing.
God willing. God willing, the Giants will be there too.
That's a Southern statement right there, Geoff. And the creek don't rise.
The creek don't rise.
Oh man.
That's for our Southern brethren. This is a Southern phrase right there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Any last words, Ajay? You out of here?
It was a great show, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Shout out to the chat. Chat is always on fire.
Yes.
And tonight was no different.
More likes on the way out the door. Any announcement, Ajay, or we gonna wait?
Yeah, we'll wait.
Okay.
We gotta get the schedule.
90, 93, 97 in the chat, 76 likes. Hit the like on the way.
On the way out.
On the way out. Until next time, family, always a pleasure.
Peace.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over with no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at. Step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't
you at? Where you at?
Dope Soul.